My guest on the phone today, Dr. Lisa Taylor, Superintendent of Hayworth Schools. Good morning, Dr. Taylor, and happy summer. How are you?
Right. It hasn't felt like it with the rain we had yesterday, but that was needed. So summer's off to a great start and just, excited to start planning for next year.
Well, what was the end of year schedule for you and your district? When was last day of school and some of those milestone events?
Yeah, graduation was on the 18th, and then we had that next week of school, but it went great. We had beautiful weather that day, just all of those celebration things. And a lot of our sports went into the postseason, so we did really well in baseball and had a lot of track kids break records and go to state. So it really doesn't feel like school ended because that, kind of extends you out another week or so. And then
Yeah.
our summer camp started.
Yeah, so what do you got going on this summer, like in terms of kids being in the building?
Oh gosh, there were hundreds of kids. Most of the camps are at the junior, senior high school because they're put on by the high school coaches and their athletes for the younger kids. And so, I mean, there were a couple hundred kids there they did girls and boys basketball camp. And then this week is volleyball, and we've got football camp going on, and we've got a STEM camp, which is really cool at the elementary. So it has really just been, at least a third of our district, it feels like, has been there every day. So it's kind of fun to see kids in that environment too. It's a little less structured, right? And they're just loving everything they do and, happy to see you like it's been forever.
Kids are the best. It's just funny, especially little kids. You get them together in the summertime, and yeah, it's just like the camp. Like we send our kids to camp, and it's just funny to watch them interact when I can.
Yeah, I apologize to the volleyball coaches yesterday because I walked in there and then one girl saw me, and then before you know it, like 15 have left their drill to come over and give me a hug. So I just ruined the whole camp yesterday.
Very good. Hey, that's a great response though. You walk in the room and everybody knows who you are. So
And I needed the hugs yesterday, so glad it happened.
Good. Speaking of a lot going on in your district, I know that our last several visits have been highlighting your football track facility there at Hayworth, and some ongoing work is going to really kick into high gear this summer. Tell me what's going on, Dr. Taylor.
Yeah, we have finished all of the drainage systems and everything that's underground that you don't see. So all of that work is completed, and even the concrete around concession stands and the entire entrance, from the school, from the offices down to the football field is finished. So next steps are really starting to work on the asphalt track, and at the same time here in the next week or so, starting to install the turf. So we get lots of visitors up there to see what's going on, but I think we're going to have like kind of a waiting area for people in the next couple weeks because it's just really fun and just kind of reminds you of like the school spirit and pride in a small town. So those are the big things going on. We did have a special board meeting yesterday to approve. We've been talking about it for months, but we've been looking into video scoreboard versus traditional, but we also need a sound system. And so we were under budget with our project. So we had the funds, and we're going ahead and putting in a video scoreboard at the football field. And then we got new scoreboards for baseball and softball too. So really exciting times in Hayworth.
Do you mind if I ask what the cost on those was?
Oh, sure. It's $231 for all three. And that includes sound system and that sort of thing.
Got it.
What sound system is about 50,000 of a project like that. And I think it's 27 feet tall. I mean, it's big.
Right. Tell me about the capabilities on this video board. Like what are the bells and whistles?
Yeah, there's so much you can do. And what we have done a lot with the one in our gymnasium is we have business classes dedicated to it. So students are kind of your content creators, but obviously they have the ability to do some replay, to highlight. The kids will go out, into the fan section and kind of video the fans and then post that up there. A lot of it they can do from their phones. It's kind of amazing when you see what can be done. But it's also a nice way to highlight our sponsors. We had over 100,000 in sponsors for the basketball video boards, and I'm sure we'll match that here. But it's a nice way to highlight sponsors, things going on in your community, your seniors. It makes a big difference on senior night, and even just, the starting lineup in basketball. I know football's a little bit different, but the videos that our students create to highlight the kids on the team it's amazing to me. I can barely record a video of myself, so they're skilled much beyond me.
Sure, sure. Now, when it comes to the video board on the football field, tell me a little bit about kind of looking into that. What were your options, and just kind of what were some of the things you wanted in that scoreboard? How about some of those things?
Yeah, so we really narrowed it down to two companies, which is Daktronics and Nevco. And we landed with Daktronics. The prices were really similar, but we already have Daktronics play clocks and we have Daktronics system in our high school gym. And so a familiarity where, they're trusted, their headquarters is there. They have a service area in Lincoln. But the best part is really, honestly, one of the technicians moved to Hayworth and he literally lives behind our football field in that subdivision. And so the support we've gotten from them over the years too has been amazing. And, I'm just looking into what else can we do. There's a lot of things you can do, right? Like you could do movie nights. You can use it for much more than sports. And so we're excited about engaging the community in that too.
So when it comes to the football scoreboard, I venture a guess it will also probably be versatile enough for like track to have like real-time track results and stuff like that.
Yes, and it's been amazing. If you've been to a track meet at a school that does that, when we first saw that, we were like, and that was, earlier this year, I think we had a lot of parents in Gibson City and they knew that we were looking into scoreboard options. And I can't even tell you how many texts and messages I got with, look what they're able to do with track. And so it's really nice because track is one of those sports that we have, the most kids involved in, and they do really well. But unfortunately, it doesn't get the attention like football and basketball do in the nation, not just in Hayworth. So what a great way to highlight those kids and to have, results you can see. For us, our sound system was so bad. I mean, it was almost embarrassing the last couple of years, and we've tried several things. It was just, outdated. It was over 20 years old. And just to have clear sound on Friday nights and at those track meets is going to make a huge difference for the audience too.
What's the response from your community like on those things?
Yeah, they've been really supportive. You worry, especially when you're spending funds, of that large of an amount. So we try to be very transparent. And these are all the companies we talk to. Most people don't really hear it until you make the purchase. Unfortunately, then they notice. And so, but we have all those documents online. We talk about them in board meetings. It's in our minutes. And, we just try to overall, I mean, it's been overwhelming support. We also purchased a piece of real estate. We had a house go up for sale across from the elementary. So our special board meeting was for that too. And we've been kind of expanding parking over there and planning long-term. Just if properties come up neighboring the schools, we need to be taking a look. It's just normally you can't get there quick enough. And so we did purchase a house there that we'll probably rent to a staff member until we have some more property to expand parking, get our buses off the street, make it a little more safe for kids and families.
Gotcha. Well, and then of course that highlights that the turf is going on the field and everything. Have they started tearing things up and putting things down yet?
They haven't started putting it down yet, but they are ready. It should be, the rain kind of slowed them a little bit here, but I think tomorrow or next week for sure we're going to start seeing those pieces go in.
Gotcha. Will it be ready for the fall?
Yes, it's supposed to be August 15th, and currently they're ahead of schedule. And our first home game, it's an odd year. We have a lot of away games. Is like mid-September. So it gives us a little cushion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Great. Nice. Well, you got to be able to practice on there too, Dr. Taylor.
They're not practicing on there. They have been practicing on our practice field. But we're making sure everything, you know how that is, just getting everything, letting it set the right amount of time. I know the kids are going to be itching though.
Hey, I don't mean to have a squirrel moment. The 1 cent sales tax in McLean County, how did that turn out?
Yeah, that did pass. And so that's going to make a significant difference for us. We're projecting, the economy is a little bit unstable and people are kind of withdrawing on spending, but I think it will be $250,000 a year. And so what we have planned is to use a third of that to offset property taxes, abate, right, continue reducing that rate. And then projects will fund some counselors. Some of our counselors will be paid through that. And then projects that maybe we've been putting off because bids came in too high. So I think junior high HVAC system will be one of the top priorities, but still working through the details. That money will start coming in, this fall, and we can start sharing with the public. This is how much we're getting each year, and we want to be very transparent on our website, and this is what we're using it on each year, so everyone can see that.
I'm disappointed that a turfed baseball and softball diamond were not on the highest of priorities in that list, Dr.
I
Taylor.
wish they were, but we don't even own a baseball and softball diamond. The village owns them, so I'll share your message with them and see if they'll turf it for us.
Well, you can help them perhaps with that, but no, I always give the Soups a hard time on that, but it's exciting to have that revenue though, right?
Yeah, it really is, and it's most of our big needs and additions we've taken care of in the past 5 or so years. But you always have these maintenance things that are not pretty to do, right? Roofs, HVAC, boilers, and they're really expensive. And so to be able to, get some efficiencies in place there too, and just, keep everything healthy and safe for everyone is a big goal.
You had to run. I know you had to run some track meets at Clinton this year because of everything going on with your facility. Did you get to run on their new track?
Yes, they did. When we've been everywhere this year. So we've seen more tracks this year than we've ever seen. And so our kids also practiced there. So we did some shuttling back and forth. They practiced everywhere, to be honest, hallways, gyms. I mean, there were kids all over Hayworth. So it's going to be nice to have our own field, track and turf back.
Yeah. What did you think? Because I, to be quite honest, I'm ashamed I'm saying this, but I hadn't been to the Clinton football track facility since they'd redone it. And I was there the other night. It's really sharp. What did you think? And is that going to be something?
Amazing.
Yeah, is that going to be something like what you guys do?
I actually visited when we started looking into scoreboards, and we were looking into the prices of turf versus sod, because we were expecting that to come in much higher. And since Clinton is so close, we visited several times, and my buildings and grounds guy has been there a lot, and it's just completely changed that environment. And I just think about kids, and I see it now when kids from other schools walk into our gym and even into our lobby, which has really high ceilings and lots of, school graphics. They're always like, wow, this is amazing, and you don't even think about the impact like that. Yes, the community's going to feel it right on Friday nights at the football field, but it's so nice for your kids to be proud of where they go to school, where they compete, and just have great memories there. That's what it's all about.
Very good. Well, Dr. Taylor, did I miss anything on kind of summer in terms of facilities and the latest? Did I miss anything there?
I don't think so. Hopefully after this next June board meeting, it'll just be a calm kind of recharge for the school year.
Dr. Lisa Taylor, Superintendent of Hayworth Schools, my guest on the phone today. More to come with Dr. Taylor on the morning show.
WHOW.
With your Farm Bureau membership.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn, beans, and Chicago wheat all steady at this hour. July corn down 2.5, 436 1/4. September corn up 3/4, 428 3/4. December corn 445 1/2, up 1 3/4. July beans up 1 1/4, 1046 1/4. August beans up 1 3/4, 1040 1/2. November beans 1027 1/4, up 2 1/4. July wheat up 1.5, 544 3/4. September wheat up 2, 559 1/4. July bean meal 295.90, down $1.20. July bean oil 46.70, down 11 cents. Livestock market, August feeders 306.20, up 232. June live cattle 220.07, up $1.67. June lean hogs $100.22, up 1/4. Energy market, July crude oil 63.69, up 84 cents. Jim Taylor, RFD.
Here's Clinton Save-A-Lot owner Dave Jackson on Inflation 3.0.
The rate of increase has slowed down. That doesn't mean inflation and prices have gone back to where they were. Not 8%, not 10%, double. So an item that was $1 in 2020 is now $2. It's not going back to $1. What you are seeing is maybe that item's at $2, it might go up to $2.03, back to normal 1.5% inflation.
Save up to 40% on your food bill at your Clinton Save-A-Lot. And as Dave always says,
hope to see you soon.
SIU Family Medicine wants the best health for you and your family. Be a champion. Protect your loved ones. The SIU Center for Family Medicine of Lincoln is accepting new patients. Click their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com to schedule your appointment.
Hi, I'm Brett with Central Cremation Center. We're proudly offering pet cremation services to help keep your faithful companion close to you. Learn more about our pet services by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the phone today, Dr. Lisa Taylor, superintendent of Hayworth Schools. And Dr. Taylor, I know one thing really focusing in for districts this summer is going to be artificial intelligence. So what's kind of the summer look like for professional development for you, your staff, administration, all those things?
Yeah, we have several teams and several individuals going to different conferences, one in St. Louis and one in San Antonio. And it's really just trying to get ahead of this. We have a policy in place, right? But it changes and it's evolving more quickly than even we can, but learning as much as we can about it so we can come up with a real implementation plan. Like, this is how it's going to be used on a regular basis. A lot of instructional conversations, because it does change the way, even colleges are assessing kids now. I was sharing with a few of our teachers last week. My son is in a master's program in England, but one of his final exams was answer these questions on Chat GPT. And it was, pages of answers. But then his questions, the part he was being graded on, was more analyzing that content, right? And so it's kind of shifting, not having you look up as much, right? Like, let's go ahead and look it up the quick way, but now what does this mean? How does that impact other areas of business and so on? So we're using it to an extent in Hayworth. And of course, we have some teachers who have been training all of us on it, right? And just teaching us tips and tricks and how do you individualize learning. But there's so much, so fast, that we just want to spend this summer to kind of focus our professional learning on that. And then how can we be more efficient? How can we reach kids better? And how can we use this to help kids grow academically?
Sure. One thing that is for a challenge for me when using AI is the prompts and correctly using prompts to get back the data and information you want. How are you finding that? So, what are you finding maybe the challenges to be with AI, to use it effectively? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So writing prompts is one of the hardest parts of it. And it's kind of, I know I'm going to date myself, but when search engines first came out and we had to put quotes around stuff to get exactly what you wanted. And so it's a new thing that will probably be the first phase of our teaching, is how do you write effective prompts, right? And how do you narrow those prompts, and how do you, use the tools this way? So I attended an area superintendent's meeting that was focused on kind of AI session 1, and our session 2 is coming up on that. So I'm hoping to get more out of that, but I'm learning a lot as we go. And I actually ask the AI tool, like, how do I write an effective prompt to get this type of information? And so I'm kind of using it to help me build my knowledge around this too.
Sure. Well, Dr. Taylor, AI is really changing the game. How, and we may have talked about this, so forgive me if I'm asking questions we've gone over already, but have you had to adjust, whether it's your school handbook or, usage for staff and those sorts of things? Like, have you had to make adjustments for those things in your district?
Yes, we did. And so we have new handbook language now, and then most of probably all of our teachers now have it in their course syllabus too, right? Like, if you're using AI, that has to be shared with the teacher how it's used, right? And so kind of putting those teaching students responsible use. Now, we're not foolish. I know there's a Snapchat AI tool that kids are using regularly. I think it's Gauth, Gauth. It's probably not how it's pronounced. That is a common one that kids use. And so it's really trying to focus on teaching them responsible use. We've had a couple issues of, really horrible plagiarism use with it. And typically we start with, let's meet with the parent and the student. You'll get a redo chance, but we're going to talk through why you don't do this, right? But I know those things are probably happening more than we catch, right? And so we're really going to focus on teaching how to write prompts, teaching when it's okay to use AI and when it's not. And honestly, I'm not one that was a huge proponent of the cell phone ban, but I think that will help with some of the in-school pieces, right? When you don't have all those tools at your fingertips, that temptation maybe isn't there too. We want to make sure kids are learning what they need to learn to be successful after high school. And some of that is going to be learning how to use AI, right?
Sure, absolutely.
So it's a little scary territory. We've got some nervous teachers around it, and that makes sense, right?
Yep.
But we're going to try to support and learn and do the best we can with it.
Did the cell phone bill pass or ban pass?
Yes, I believe it did.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yes, I know it did.
Okay.
It was one that they signed.
All right. And so what's kind of next with that then? Is that going to take effect in the next school year, or what will happen?
We have a year to plan for it. So next year we will not. We're talking about now that it has passed, just putting some tighter restrictions in junior high. We don't have a lot of issues, but the impulsivity and brain development, right? Our rule has always been, if a teacher doesn't want your cell phone out, it can't be out. If any adult asks you to put your phone away, you have to do it immediately. And our kids have been very cooperative, right? But it's easy for them to get distracted, or if there's any downtime. And I think it is going to buy us back a little instructional time and definitely help with, eliminating some of those tools that could lead to cheating pretty easily without someone catching it.
Sure. Interesting. Anything else out of Springfield in this legislative cycle that's caught your eye?
Oh my gosh. Well, thank heavens their K-2 suspension bill, where everything had to go through the superintendents, didn't pass. Kind of taking that authority away from schools and definitely away from principals. That one did not get signed, but they believe it will come back. There were several signed that were a lot signed that we've got to dig through, but the big one I've been focused on is the budget. And we were specifically, I'm surprised that they're able to fund evidence-based funding just with the state of Illinois financially. So that was good news that they can fund that. But on the other hand, our greatest increases are in transportation and special education, and the state's not fully funding those now, around 70%. And I believe that's going to go down some because they weren't able to add money to that. And that's when gas is going up. The cost of vehicles goes up. All of these costs are going up, and they're mandated that we pay for them by the state, but there's no funding to go with it.
Gotcha. Very good. Well, Dr. Taylor, always good to chat with you. Enjoy your summer. Just a little housekeeping. You okay with skipping July? We'll catch up maybe around start of school in August.
Sure. Let's recharge in July.
Sounds good. Very good. Enjoy the summer, Dr. Taylor. It was good to have you on the program. Yep, absolutely. Dr. Lisa Taylor, Superintendent of Haworth Schools, my guest on the phone this morning. The morning show streams too, Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance.
WHOW.